So back with another Warhammer Underworlds update, as it were. As you can see, I have been painting through a whole bunch of things and bought some new miniatures as well, as you would have seen in the last video. But I just wanted to show off what I'd done with the Fyreslayers. So for anyone who's been following the videos, I've been trying to do some like Grimdark paint schemes for the warbands of Warhammer Underworlds, or at least the ones that I've got my hands on. Just sort of like painting through the different factions and stuff that exist in there. So this was one of the test miniatures that I did. So this was done with, I think it was like Cadian flesh tone on the skin, which I've used for a lot, basically all the miniatures that I do flesh coloured. And then I put an orange wash over top of that, painting things up with gold and bronze and metallics and stuff. Did their hair in that sort of deep red. I think it's the corn red there. Then slapped a whole bunch of Agrax Earthshade, some Reichland Flesh Shade, and did a little bit of kind of like OSL on the axes for the sort of braziers that they have at the top of their axes there. And I thought that actually worked out quite nicely. So then I went through and finished off the rest of them over the weekend that's just gone. And while I'm not as enamored by these as I was about the Stormcast that I'd personally done a couple of days ago, like a week ago now, I was actually quite happy with how they turned out. I really think the kind of distressing on the helmets and stuff and that sort of dark sort of contrast between the raised areas and the sunken areas is actually quite nice. And I think in general, a lot of this sort of effect came off quite nicely with those Fyreslayers. It's been interesting trying to come up with ways to do like a Grimdark style of paint scheme on these guys. And obviously it's a little bit messy when you do something like this, but I think that messy kind of works if the whole thing you're doing matches. So like these match up quite nicely with the Khorne miniatures and the Stormcast Eternals as well. So in essence, you've got quite a nice little set of miniatures that all kind of fit the same theme. And, you know, it's a lot of work, but it's kind of comes out quite nice in the end, I think. So yeah, that's the leader of those. I think that's the Ulrich Runefather, I think they're called. This was one of the miniatures that I was a little bit... It was a shame painting this guy up, because I'd actually painted him originally as a normal Fyreslayer. So he had his normal skin, his orange hair and things. And I was actually really, really happy with how he turned out. But I was like, well, got to respray it, because, well, strip it and respray it, because I was going to paint up this warband in a different style. And yeah, I think it turned out quite nice in sort of like here's the style I'm going for kind of thing. So yeah, the Fyreslayers are all done. They're all ready. Still got the Khorne guys to do, haven't got around to them. I've obviously sprayed and undercoated all the miniatures you see over there for Zarbag's Gitz and Thundrix Profiteers. But I also wanted to show off what I've been working on recently. So a couple of miniatures you see from that are missing, and so I painted up some test miniatures. So this allowed me to play around with the oxide and also some Typhus corrosion. And yeah, I had a really good time painting up Thundrix Profiteers, and I released one of these miniatures anyway. I'm still getting used to using the oxide and using it sparingly, I guess you'd say, rather than daubing it over the entire miniature. But it was really fun working on this guy. Loved the fact that he was mostly metallics. Was interesting trying to get the different areas of the flight suit to work out quite nicely. So you've got the purple there underneath and that kind of thing, which was cool. But yeah, really enjoyed how he turned out, just looking up close at him. And obviously did a little bit of a kind of like glow effect on the base and stuff as well. Same kind of weathering effect as well. So using Sterling Mud followed by Golthor Brown to do the kind of like dirt around the bottom of the Profiteer there. But yeah, really enjoying that. And then I also did a sample miniature for Zarbag's Gitz. So I'm not sure about this. Like, I'm quite happy with the green on this guy. It'll be interesting to see how it works on some of the others. That was Iron Rack skin, or like the Idoneth Deepkin skin, but then done over with contrast green rather than a wash. I'm going to be really interested to see what it looks like with a wash instead of the contrast green, I think. Just to see if it makes it look a little bit more poppy. But in essence, I was actually quite happy with how he turned out. Did again sort of like a OSL, but like a cheap version of it with dry brushing up the side and a little campfire that he's got there smoking away with the embers. But had fun doing that, doing a little bit of extra detail work, putting some blue into the cloak so that it didn't look just so immediately midnight black. But yeah, it was really fun working on that, and I'll be very interested to see working on the rest of them as well. So yeah, lots of Grimdark stuff happening at the moment for these guys. We'll be interested to come back and show off the 2 warbands when they are finished. And then I've got to think about what I'm going to paint next. I have a few bits and pieces lying around, but I'm really enjoying doing this Grimdark thing at the moment. I think I'll maybe look at Lethari's Guardians, I think they're called, which is the Sylvaneth warband from a while back for Warhammer Underworlds. I think I've mentioned them before, but yeah, really liking the way those are turning out at the moment. As I say, playing around with lots more weathering options and things like that, and technical paints. I'm really interested about getting Riser Rust, I think, which is a dry paint. Sorry, I was trying to remember, but it's a dry paint from Games Workshop, which I want to try and use for the ball on this guy. So I want to try and add it to the top here, and maybe on sort of like the sail at the back. But yeah, he's going to be an interesting miniature to paint because he has a lot of stuff going on with him. Obviously, once you dry brush it, you're going to pick out a lot more of the details and stuff. But yeah, will be cool working on those. So yeah, lots of Duardin done, Fyreslayers, as you can see. Zarbag's Gitz, and some Profiteers. So Kharadron Overlords, Gloomspite Gitz, and Fyreslayers all coming together nicely if I don't knock them all over. I will be back in a future video showing off some Eldar, I think. Showing off the finished look of my Eldar. So yep, enjoy your hobby, and I will be back soon.